perfect forehand does not exist. The perfect forehand for you, however, does exist. Now, as pro players teach us, there's a bunch of different ways to hit the ball, and every player's body type is different. Every player's stroke mechanics are different, and you are no different. So I'm going to give you guys the unfluffy checkpoint version that's going to tell you what to copy and what not to copy within pro players. That's going to give you your own version of a perfect forehand. Let's get started with today's video. And before we get started, guys, if you're new to the channel, don't forget we're trying to get to 15K so we can work on our next project. So if you're new, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, getting back to the checkpoints of the forehand, there are 3 universal things that you're going to want to keep consistent no matter what forehand you're hitting. That would be your preparation, your contact, and your finish in most cases. Now, what I mean is whatever your preparation is, you're going to want to make sure you always go to that position. Don't prepare differently depending on what shot you get. You're just going to have the universal position that you go to. You're also going to try to narrow down what your contact point is. If you're somebody that likes it a little higher or a little lower, that's fine, but you're going to make sure that you narrow it down to looking for this spot every time. Obviously, there's some times that you're not going to be able to, but you're looking for that spot. If the ball's a little lower, get down so it feels the same. If the ball's a little higher, stand up so it feels the same. And then obviously the last part that I said is our finish. What I mean is, let's say I want to hit a flat ball. I would start from my normal preparation. I drop my racket level with my contact and come straight through. Now let's say I hit that ball flat, my finish would come through, but then come to this position. If I wanted to switch it to a heavy ball, I'd still go in this universal position, drop my racket significantly lower, come up to the same contact. So again, flat would look like this, heavy would look like this, but then my extension would be vertical instead of through, and my finish would be the same here as if I went this way. So we're going to try to make sure that we keep that universal. Then whatever you do in between those spots is subjective to you. For example, if you're somebody that likes to go up higher, or if you're somebody that likes to go more linear, those things are going to be completely fine so long as you have a universal setup and then you get to this contact point yourself. People like Francis Tiafoe are a perfect example. His racket looks like this on his preparation, but he does that every time and he still manages to find this spot. Now, if he's hitting heavy, he'll dip it down. If he's hitting flat, he'll come straight through. But universal preparation versus somebody like Alcaraz, who's up here, still getting to these same spots. Okay, so now that we've had our universal upper body starting position, we need to set a universal lower start position. What that's going to be is opening up your hip and going into an open stance at the beginning. This does not mean that this is going to be how you finish, but we want to make sure that as we get used to doing this part, wherever you decide to set it, that your legs do something that's universal as well. The reason why we want to go with the open hip and the open stance here is it's a time saver for if the ball comes at us quickly. If you automatically go into a closed stance, sometimes the ball's going to end up jamming you and you won't be able to execute the shot with the universal contact point that we already established for all of our shots. So taking it into a live setup, all I'm going to do is start off open and start with that universal hand position first, where the ball comes in here, and then I go through. But I'm always setting my hands and my legs at the same time. I'm not going here and then here. We want to make sure that the hips and everything open up identical on every time. And then if I want to go in, I go here, then I add in the next part. But it's always there and then to there. The reason why we want to do this, again, if the ball jams up on us like this, we don't want to be caught here. Quick load, and then we're able to do whatever we need to do to strike the ball there. Shifting it to this angle here, it's no different. We want to see that the body goes right into that position, and as you hear the ball come out of the machine, then I'm able to execute the shot. The most important thing, as I said, is you're able to shift your weight quickly, and you're able to save time to guarantee you have the ability to go through your whole motion. Biggest thing that gets people in trouble, as I said, a lot of people have this thing of going here first and jamming themselves on faster shots just because they assume they're going to have time. The other reason why we want to do this is this allows us to do time-saving moves and shift our weight in when we actually want to hit the ball harder. So the last thing we're going to talk about to hit a perfect forehand that's ideal for you, again, as I said, there is no such thing as a perfect forehand. We need to establish what our go-to shots are going to be. I did a video a while ago where I said 90% of the time you're going to be doing that rally forehand. Now, the rallying forehand is essentially just your go-to mechanic that saves you the most time and is the most repeatable. It can be a little flatter for some people, it can be a little heavier for other people, but you need to establish, once you set here, what's going to be the autopilot response for 90% of the balls. If you're the one that's going to go here, drop down and lift it up, then fine. If you're going to be the one that goes here and hits through, that's fine, because you're going to get used to spacing on autopilot as well. The second part to that is then you'll know when you get the opportunity to change those things, and you'll actually have a conscious thought. Instead of doing this, what you've been doing all day, you're going to go, that's a sitter, let me go a little bit more through. But putting that stuff together, we have our universal start, our universal contact, and our universal finish. And then we have our 90% of the time mechanic of what's going to happen in between. So if I'm hitting heavy forehand, I'll start here, drop it really low, and lift. If I'm hitting a rally forehand, I'll start here, drop a little more shallow, go through while I lift. You get to decide that part of your game. But the point is, whatever it is, that's going to be running on autopilot in the back. That's going to wrap up today's video. I did not want to make it long-winded. I wanted it to be something that you could immediately go on court and practice, and then we can add tactics and things to that, as you know I always do. So when you jump on court, get the technique down, figure out which one suits you. Quick side note, when you're doing this motion, as I said with the ideal contact point, we want to make sure that we're striking the ball level or slightly closed, no more than right here. Everything else is going to be subjective to what type of shot you're choosing. Universal set, universal contact, universal finish with a racket face that looks somewhat like this. That being said, if you're new to the channel, like I said, and you felt that this was useful, hit like and subscribe so we can get to 15K. And if you know anybody that would benefit from this, send it off to them. We'll catch you guys in the next video.